Today I'll give you the introduction to PHP programming. So what is PHP? PHP is an open source general purpose scripting language widely used for website development. Now open source where we can freely download the PHP software and we can modify based on the requirement. You can just suggest to the developers so they can modify it, and it has been basically used for the website development. If you want to prepare any website that is a browser-based applications, you can go with the PHP. Now it is developed by Rasmus Ledorf in 1994, and PHP is an acronym for Hypertext Preprocessor. Now, PHP is a server-side scripting language. That means whatever the code related to the PHP will get executed on the server side rather than on the client side. And this scripting language can be embedded in your normal HTML, because when we write our HTML applications, we generally start with an HTML tag and ends with an HTML tag. Inside that, we can embed the PHP code, which will be executed at the server side. Now, PHP runs on various platforms. Could be Windows, Linux, Unix, Mac, or any other operating system. We get the same output. Now that is why it is called a platform independent. PHP is compatible with almost all servers used today, like Apache, IIS, or we have XAMPP server, or we have separate PHP servers for the respective editors when we do programming. So we can use any type of web servers in order to execute the PHP applications. PHP supports a wide range of databases. Now, whenever we work with the real-time applications, the backend databases are playing the main role to store the data or manipulate or retrievation of the data can be done. So PHP also supports a wide range of database connectivity. It could be MySQL, it could be Oracle, or it could be SQL Server, or it could be ODBC applications. So all types of databases can be connected through PHP applications. What is a PHP file? PHP files can contain text, HTML code, cascading style sheets, JavaScript, and PHP code. So it's a combination of all these things. Based on the requirement, the developer is going to write the code. PHP code is executed on the server. As I was saying, it's a server-side scripting language. PHP code gets executed to the server, and the result is returned back to the browser as a plain HTML. PHP files have extension called .php. So when we write the PHP programs, the extension should be .php when you're seeing the files. Now, what can PHP do? PHP can generate dynamic page content. So it could be some animations, some graphics, whatever the modifications we do, immediately it is going to reflect on screen. That sort of content can be generated. Like we submit the form and we get the immediate response. Now these applications can be called as a dynamic page contents. Now, PHP can create, open, read, write, delete, and close files on the server. So we do have a separate functions for that, where to work with files. PHP can collect form data. So you have an input form, like you do have some text boxes, some radio buttons, such check boxes, or some other controls where you can enter some data, and that entered data can be collected through the PHP application for further process. PHP can send and retrieve cookies. Now this cookies is a mechanism for session management. Like I want to track the client status, like from login to logout, what all operations the client is doing. Then for such things, we can go for creating and retrieving, creating cookies and retrieving cookies. This has been automatically done, and The browser is going to store the cookie and server is going to create the cookie for the client status maintenance. PHP can add, delete, modify data in your database. So once we connect to the database through PHP, I can insert some data, delete some data, modify some data, or retrieve the data. Okay, now these all operations can be done through PHP. PHP can be used to control user access. Now, generally, when we see other programming languages, there are some cases where we write very lengthy code, but here, with minimal number of lines, we can achieve the same task. So, where the control is being there on the programming steps, and also the credentials, like the user can go for authentication, authorization concept can also be done here. Now, PHP can encrypt data where we apply some security aspects. So now coming to the features of PHP, the PHP is open source, it is embedded, it's control, loosely typed language, security, helpful PHP community, web server support, error reporting, database support, platform independent, familiarity with syntax, and performance. Now we'll see one by one. Now, PHP is open source. So PHP source code and software are freely available on the internet, so you can easily download and install in your system, and you can create your own applications. As I said before, you can create as many PHP versions as needed without any cost. All components are free to use and downloads. So here, any suggestions if you want to give to the developers in order to go for improvisation of software, you're almost welcome to do that particular thing, so that some betterment or some improvement can be done to the programming. Now coming to the next feature, it's embedded. PHP code can be easily incorporated into HTML tags and scripts. So the PHP code can be put into the normal HTML. And as I said before, PHP code is going to execute at the server side. So we can embed our PHP into HTML. The other one is control. Several other programming languages often require lengthy scripts, but PHP can achieve the same result with just a few lines of code. That means here the minimal lines of code is being used in order to achieve the task. It offers full control over your website, enabling you to make changes at any time. So it's very simple and easy to modify very minimal lines of code rather than going for the bulky sort of code. Then we have loosely typed language. PHP allows us to use variables without defining the data types. So generally we see programming languages where we require to write what type of data you store before assigning the value. But here it's not like that. Whatever the value you assign, that is going to internally interpret. Suppose I give a variable with 10. Then that way, if at all I try to check the data type of the particular variable, it is going to give as an integer. If I give a variable equal to some string value like hello, then it is going to give the answer as a string. So I don't require to mention what type of data to be stored prior. I can directly assign the values. Based on the value, it is going to be interpreted. It will be taken automatically during execution based on the type of data that it contains and its value. So whatever the value you give, basically that is being stored into the variable, and at the time of interpretation, it is going to check out whether it is an integer or float or double or character or string. Security. PHP is a secure language to use when creating a website. It has multiple layers of security to protect against threats and malicious attacks. So we can incorporate the security algorithms through PHP into our application. A beneficial PHP community. It has a large developer community that regularly updates documentation, tutorials, online help, and FAQs. Now here it's an open source and it is asking some suggestions from the community so that to improvise the PHP programming. So it's also the responsibility of the users in order to check the particular software, and if any sort of bugs or any sort of additional things need to be incorporated, then obviously you need to just put some suggestions to the PHP community so that it can develop the applications very rapidly. And very free regularly they are updating this particular software. Now, web server support PHP is compatible with almost all modern local servers, including Netscape, Apache, and Microsoft IIS. And other n number of web servers are there which is going to support your PHP program for execution. Now, error reporting. PHP has error reporting constants that can be used to generate an error notice or warning at runtime. Some examples: E warning and E error. So, any sort of exceptions that can be reported at the runtime. It could be a exception where your program is going to stop, or it could be a warning still where your program can execute. Database support. PHP supports all of the major databases, including SQLite, ODBC, and MySQL. And still many more are available where we can connect to the database in order to work with the SQL queries for insertion, deletion, updation, co-creation, etc. Now, platform independent. PHP is available for the following operating systems: Mac, Unix, Linux, Windows, etc. A PHP application written for one operating system can easily be run on another operating system. Here I have listed only a few, but many operating systems are supporting this PHP. So you just develop an application of PHP on one operating system and you can directly run on another operating system where you get the same output. Familiar with the syntax. PHP has simply understandable syntax. So in my further videos, I'm going to put the programming concepts where you can see how easily you can understand the PHP syntax and the execution aspect also. So it's very simple to understand the PHP syntax. Performance. PHP scripts are much faster to execute than scripts written in other languages such as ASP and JSP. So we have active server pages, we have Java server pages, so like that we have many other scripts, but the PHP is being much faster to execute. PHP makes use of its memory, which reduces the server's workload and loading time, resulting in faster processing and better performance. So here, the processing of the application is much more faster than compared to other applications, where the memory usage also been the optimal, where we can run our application much more faster. So these are few features what the PHP is holding in order to make it robust. So I hope I've given some input on to what is PHP, what it can do, and what are the features of PHP in detail. If you like this video, do comment, subscribe, and share it to your friends. Thank you.